Hey everyone, welcome back to my channel. Today I am working on a fun layout from our trip to the Annapolis Valley. Yes, the same apple picking trip that I've scrapbooked before, but this time I'm focusing on a couple of photos of my daughter and our international student Ellie. They had such a blast picking the apples, and these shots really capture the fun moments that they had. This page has a bit of a twist. I'm going to be using a really long title that runs down the length of the page, and I'm going to show you how to mix and match different letter stickers to pull it off. So if you've ever wanted to use a big title but felt unsure about making it fit or using how to use different types of stickers together, then I've got some ideas for you. Now, before we can even think about the title, because at this point I don't know that I'm going to be doing such a big title, but before we get to the title, we do have to start with the structure of the page. And so I was picking out some papers as I chatted earlier about the topic of this video. And my apologies for my out of focus camera. My head keeps bobbing into the frame and messing up the focus, but don't worry, it'll come back shortly. So I punched a strip of that yellow paper, that golden yellow paper from the kit. I punched it with my punch that is called a scallop edge. And so it's a scalloped edge, but then if you look really closely at it, each scallop has little tiny scallops too. And I really love how that trims out that apple barrel paper. This is the same paper that I almost misused on the last layout. It has the gingham on the other side of it, and I was going to stretch the gingham across both pages. So this is going to be the sister page to the other page that I did last time. So I'll be sure to link that in a card for this video. In fact, you'll see all of my cuddle up videos. Whoops. Then my mic makes an appearance. I'm not sure why that happened, but yeah, we're all rolling with whatever comes our way in the craft room today. I'm going to mat both of these photos onto pieces of this really dark brown cardstock. I cannot remember for the life of me if this dark brown cardstock came in the kit or if it's from my stash. I'm pretty sure it came in the cardstock kit. Now my trimmer isn't doing a great job of trimming at this point because in the last video, I had to actually just flip around that little cutting strip, the little white strip that runs the length of the trimmer. And whenever you do that, your trimmer is not going to cut quite as easily for the first maybe 10 or 15 cuts. And so I'm still dealing with that, and I forgot. So normally I just make sure that I press a little harder when I go over it the first couple of times, but I forgot there, so I had to do a little bit of re-trimming. Now I have glued my two photos to one another so that I can move them around the page as a single unit. And then I've also used my Scotch foam tape to pop them up off the page a little bit. And I really love how that looks with the apple barrels there on the side and then the two tall photos. By the way, these photos are printed onto 4x6 photo paper using my Epson PictureMate charm. But when I printed them, I used the fit to paper feature because they were taken on my phone with the full screen aspect ratio. So there's different settings for your phone to take photos, and sometimes I have it on the aspect ratio that allows me to just print my photo up at 4x6, but on this particular day I had it on the taller aspect ratio, so I would have had to have cut off some of my photo in order to print this at a true 4x6, so I just used the print to fit, which I often use, and I like how that makes a taller, thinner photo, which really fits with this particular design where I'm emphasizing the vertical lines here. Now, I am at this moment trying to think about what my title might be, and this is where I start to consider doing a long title. So you saw me gesture there with my hands to indicate maybe I will start my title above the photos, have the photos, and then finish my title below. And I've landed on this idea as what I'm going to do. So I'm going to start by putting magic moment right here. And my title is going to be That Magic Moment When You Bite Into a Freshly Picked Apple. And at this point, I'm not entirely sure if I'm going to make the title that long or if I might shorten it as I go. It kind of depends what letters I have, and I'm kind of winging it, which is not always a great idea when you're using a long title. So, because it takes a little bit of finesse to make all your letters fit and to make sure that you have the right letters, you will see me struggle a little bit with this, but this is real life. This is what it's like. And it's okay to struggle, right? Like, we don't always know what we're doing until it's done. and, and you'll see me change my mind a little bit on some of these things. So I didn't have a U, so I decided to just cut an O to make that U. So when U is spelled out with these letters, they're wood grain puffy letter stickers from the Cedar House collection. And these are just perfect. And I really like how they combine with those cursive letters from the Magic Moment. Those Magic Moment thickers are from a Maggie Holmes collection called Forever Fields. And I really love how that looks now. What I'm deciding to do is grab some other letter stickers because it's becoming clear here that I'm not going to have enough of those Cedar House letters to spell out everything that I want to spell out here. I'm pretty sure I'm going to spell apples with those big, bold Vicky Bouton letter stickers that come in the Cuddle Up kit. Those are just over on the very left side of your screen. They're covered by some other letters. But what I've done is I've pulled out a variety of different letters, smaller letter stickers from previous MercyTiara kits, and I'm going to dig into some of them. So I have these, but if I pick these, I'm going to want to pick only the yellow ones because I'm trying to stick to the same war autumnal kind of color scheme. So these green ones are amazing for this. So these are from Pebbles, and I can't remember what kit they came in, but it was one of the embellishment kits. And so I'm going to spell out when you in these green letter stickers. They're from Pebbles, and I don't know what collection they're from. Oh, they're from the Sunny Blooms collection. Now, I didn't have a T. I'm back to the Cedar House letter stickers again because I really love them and they work. They're such a nice fall color with the brown wood grain. So I don't have any T's, so I keep using L's. And then I have another little letter that I've sacrificed, and I'm taking little straight bits off of it to make the other side of the T. So I'm putting an upside down L. And as I place out these letters, I'm not pushing them down too hard because, as you can see, I'm probably going to have to move them around. I thought about mixing and matching some letter stickers, and don't be afraid to do that, especially if you're running out of letter stickers. But it was starting to have a little bit too whimsical of a feel, so I decided I would mix and match my letters, but I would not do it within one word. It's okay to do it within one word. In fact, sometimes that looks really fun and a little bit funky, especially to have just one or two letters be different. But in this case, there's going to be so much going on with this title. I don't want it to be too haphazard. So I am I'm basically making my decisions based on what letters are available, but also what letters look nice so that they're kind of alternating and changing. So here we have my title mostly laid out. Now it does need to move around a little bit, so I'm just placing the photo where I want it to be, and then I will rejig these. The reason I'm pulling the letters in the word that down a little bit is that apple is up a little bit, and I want the space above that to be the same as the space below the word apple. So the whole thing looks like it's centered vertically on my page. And here I'm just trying to make the little M in the word moment nestle into that little place where the two photos meet, where it's not quite even. And now that I have that and apple, and I do have Magic Moment and the photos in the place that I want them to be, but once I have that space between the bottom of the photo and the top of the word apple, once that space is defined, then I can spread out these letters so that they work well vertically. And it's okay if there are some spaces here. So as you can see, bite into, and then there's a bit of space below the word you. That's okay because I can fill that with a little embellishment of some sort. Now I'm deciding it looks a little bit too much like it's kind of falling off the page with the word apple going too far over to the right. So I moved apple so that it was justified over with that edge of the paper again with the border punch. And this way, the whole title is left justified over with the border punched paper, except you can see the word picked is over to the side. Also, the word magic is over to the side. I left those like that on purpose so that I could put in some little embellishments in those places to fill up the space and to add a little bit of whimsy and interest to this title. So it's not just a whole wall of letters. It also has some little embellishments that work well for the title and for the theme of the story I'm trying to tell. Now, I don't have an embellishment that fits perfectly beside the M. I want something tall and thin. And so I'm going to my Patreon cut-aparts. These are digital files that I provide to my top tiers of tiaras over on Patreon. Every month, I provide a digital file of some sort. It might be a cut file or it might be printables. And so this month I had these, and they always coordinate with the kit, but they can also be used alone because not everybody who's a Patreon subscribes to the kits. So as you can see, it wasn't exactly the right length, so I've decided to cut it apart. I just zoomed in so you could see how I did that. I cut out a little chunk, and then I am gluing the top to the bottom section. So I basically removed the middle section so that it was shorter, so it'll fit in that space. And then I used the brad to cover over the letters that were on that little banner piece. And the combination of the banner piece and the brad is just perfect to fill in that little space beside the M in the word magic. Now I'm going to scooch these over so that the entire title is now left justified. When it comes to deciding what letters to use, I'm a firm believer in using what you have. So that's why I started with the letters and phrases that were included in the kit that I was using. But then when it comes to deciding beyond that, I think that it's important to give emphasis on the words that matter the most in the story that you're trying to tell. So I wanted the word apple to be big. And then I also like that the words magic moment are also really big because that's really the story of this page is the magic that comes from hanging out in an apple orchard and eating fruit right off the trees. Another tip for combining letters, especially when you're combining only 2 or 3 different kinds of letters, when you're combining lots like this, a lot of the rules just go out the window and you use what you have and it looks really whimsical. But when you're combining 2 or 3, I like to always make sure that I balance a cursive, whimsical or organic looking font with a blockier, plain looking font. And that tends to work really well, like in Forever Apples, for example. Now, before I share the photos, just a quick shout out to my Patreon supporters. These folks help make this channel happen, so a big thanks to all of them. Patrons get early ad-free access to all of my process videos and also real-time unedited versions of my videos, as well as usually weekly live streams, at least 2 to 4 times a month. We do a live stream these days, and behind the scenes videos from my room and my process, and also a little bit of behind the scenes and sneak peeks of the Kit Club stuff as well. So be sure to check out the links at the end of this video for my complete works of thousands of process videos. I hope this gave you some new ideas for using long titles and mixing different letter stickers on your layouts. Before you go, I'd love to hear from you in the comments. What do you think about using long titles? Do you like playing around with different fonts and sizes, or do you usually keep your titles shorter and simple? Let me know. I'd love to get some of your ideas and hear what works best for you. If you enjoyed this video, don't forget to give it a thumbs up and subscribe for more process videos and inspiration. Thanks so much for watching and have a really great scrappy week.